Hey, I'm here for a peer evaluation of a student's speech. Um, I thought the student did really well. I don't know if we're really supposed to mention names, but their content was great. I thought that I was really interested in it. It was on 9/11. I didn't know a whole lot about the events of the day or all the history around it and different facts. There were some things that I was a little concerned about. All throughout the speech. It seemed like there was a whole bunch of facts that were strewn, not in a bad way, but there were not many sources quoted, so I wasn't sure where all the information was coming from. And so that kind of, not that it made me hard to believe because they all sounded very, they didn't sound unbelievable. Uh, but there was one time where a certain source was quoted, but none of the rest of them were, and so just kind of concerned me a little bit. So the content was great. The sources were a little shaky, and then the structure I thought was pretty good. It seemed to flow pretty well for the most part. Um, Overall, it was organized all right. It seemed like it was kind of spotty here and there. Not that it didn't make sense, but it didn't necessarily seem like there was a certain direction that the speech was moving into. And I don't necessarily know if there has to be a certain direction where you have to explain a process or something of that nature. Um, so I don't necessarily think that was bad. Um, and then I'd also say the delivery was pretty good. It didn't there wasn't a whole lot of voice inflection, and I know I struggle with that too. There was decent eye contact made, but it seemed like you weren't completely engaged with us as an audience and with what was going on. Um, and I would say you were pretty clear with everything that you were saying. I didn't really have a hard time understanding anything. It seemed like I think you stuck with your notes pretty well. We couldn't really read it when we saw the camera, but that's just how it's going to be. Um, but it seemed um, like you knew what you were going to say, and it seemed like you said everything that you had wanted to say. Um, I'd say the biggest thing with that would be like the ums and the ands, like what I'm doing a lot of right now, and different places where you just kind of like paused or like mixed up a word and then stopped and then had to regather your thoughts. Not that that's bad, but it just seemed like there were a couple of bigger ones where you stumbled over a word and then paused for a second and then had to keep going, and it just seemed like you maybe could have practiced a little bit more, or prepared a little bit, or just re-recorded the video altogether um, to avoid that. And again, like I know that I did that several times in my speech too, and I say a lot, obviously. But overall, I thought it was pretty well. Again, I thought the biggest thing that was hard for me was just all the facts without saying where you got them from. And then the couple times where you stumbled and had to stop for a minute, that just kind of hurt the flow of the speech. Um, and the seemingly lack of direction. Again, I don't really know if that was a huge deal. But yeah, other than that, I'd say overall I was very well done and good job. And we're all learning together. I know we'll get better as we go.